I'm Nick, this is Budget Bill Garage, and today we're going to be talking about my 1968 El Camino. Really, we're going to be focusing on what's been done to this and what's about to happen to this, and honestly what I've already started doing. So the next step for this car is pretty big, but first I wanted to talk about where it's come from. If you haven't seen it at all yet, I got a bunch of videos. We've done everything. I bought this thing for $1,200. It's got a new engine, it's got a new trans, it's got all new suspension, it's got a new radiator. I put floors in the thing. I mean, I've done everything. I built this thing on a budget. I didn't spend a lot of money on it. I did everything myself, and I've been driving it around for about a year now. The big block's awesome. It fries a ton of tire all day, every day. I threw a trailer hitch on it. I towed a bunch of stuff with it. This thing's fantastic, and I don't have a lot of money into it, and I'll show you pretty much exactly what I have into it in like a second, but I'm kind of done with it at this point. Like, in this current state, I am done. I want to do something crazier. I've already started doing something crazier. I have other cars, but if you were looking to build something, this is a perfect example of what you can build pretty much on the cheap. Before I show you what I've already done to this thing, let's talk about how much money I'm actually into it. I got it all written up on the whiteboard, and I will show you here. So this is pretty much what I spent on it. The numbers are a little rough, but overall it's fairly accurate. And to be fair, I threw a miscellaneous thing up here and just put 500 bucks in it. So the car was $1,200. When I got it back, the engine was junk, the trans was junk, the radiator was junk. I mean, everything on this thing was junk. There was pretty much no suspension. It was bad. But the car was $1,200. I threw a 400 turbo in it for $1,000. I bought an engine off Craigslist for $200, I believe it was. I threw an oil pump, an oil pan. I put a timing chain on it. I got some headers off Craigslist that have a terrible exhaust leak. This thing sounds like a truck. It's terrible. But whatever, I bought them for cheap. I bought the intake for cheap. I just put the carb that came on the other car. I rebuilt that for cheap and put it on it. I'm like $750 into this big block, and honestly, it's pretty bitchin'. It's got all the torque in the world. It tows. I've been towing my Camaro around with it. I've been doing a ton of stuff with this thing. It's awesome. For 750 bucks, I really couldn't ask for a better engine, but this engine's not supposed to be in this car. It's not going to be in this car. I'm currently trying to find something like an old Suburban to make into like a good tow rig, so I'll figure that out later. But brakes, we threw disc brakes on it. It's like $550 was the kit. I actually got a video down there if you wanted to see that. Radiator was about $200. It's just a Summit deal, like a Summit 2-core aluminum. They're cheap. It works. This thing never heats up. It's bitchin'. It just stays like 160, 170. It's fine. Wiring. I actually threw a universal wiring kit. I didn't do any videos on that, but I rewired the whole thing. It's perfect. It's bitchin'. I love it. Gas tank was $100, something like that, 110. Suspension. All I actually did was the bushings, the ball joints, front and back, like front and back bushings. It was really easy, and I put a set of like stock springs in the front for big blocks, and I put like the helper springs that you get off of a wagon in the back, since I've been using it pretty much as a truck for the last year. And then I just stuck, I'm sure I forgot some stuff, so I stuck $500 onto the miscellaneous, and I am sitting at 4,800 bucks. So for under $5,000, you got a badass running car. I've been driving it for a year. It's fantastic. I put floors in it, which is included in there. I mean, the floors were like $80 for the floor plan. I cut it out. I welded them all in myself. It was fun. And honestly, I could have just left it. You put some nice wheels, some nice tires, paint it, and been done. But that's not what I'm doing. Next up is we're going big tires. We're going to go big tires. I'm going to back half the whole car. If you don't know what I mean by that, we're going to cut out the existing frame rails. We're going to put in a much more narrower frame rail setup, and we're going to go full 4-link in the back. We're talking big-ass tires. That's all there is to it. I've always wanted a big tire car. I was going to run this thing on a 29-10-5, and I thought, I already got it apart. I already have to put a roll cage in it. I'm already going to build a rear end. I might as well just do what I really, truly want, and that is Pro Street. I love Pro Street cars. I love the look. I love blowers. It's going to end up with my Pro Charger, not a big 871 yet. We'll see. But, yeah, I'm going to go big tire with this car, and I figured I will show you exactly what I spent on it. Every time I buy something, I'll condense this and I'll put it up here, and I will actually tell you what I have into this thing, because right now I'm under $5,000, but this kind of stuff gets kind of pricey. I'm going to try and do some stuff cheap, but some stuff there's nothing you can do about it. You're going to be spending money. So now that I've showed you this, I will show you where we're at with the car right now. So it probably looks like I got a ton of this cut out, and to be honest, yeah, there's a lot of sheet metal gone, but I really haven't done any important cuts yet. This is kind of just clearing the area. If you are using an El Camino like I am, you get a lot more leeway with what you could just hack out of there really clean and really easily. If this was like a Chevelle, I probably wouldn't just go at it like this, but honestly, it has to go out no matter what. That's just the way it is. You want to fit the tires, you want to fit the frame, you want to fit the suspension. This is what has to happen. I honestly don't feel too bad about it. This thing was pretty bad when I got it. Like I said, I had to put floors in it. I never really showed anybody this on camera, but like the floors from like the driver's seat, where the driver's seat is, was original. Everything forward was off of like a metal shelf the guy had like pounded and sheet metal screwed in, and that was it. Everything behind that was plywood. So it's like, it was pretty bad. And now that those are done, all that metal's good. A lot of this is bad. For instance, he snapped off the shock mounts, which is very common for El Caminos. What happens is people will put air shocks on them, and then they'll pump the air shock up too much for like a heavy load, and then the spring isn't actually doing anything. The whole thing's on that air pocket, and it ends up destroying the shock mounts. So yeah, those have been patched and not well. So this thing needed work anyways, and I cut it all up. Like I said, I'll do another video that shows you exactly what I'm cutting up, exactly what I'm going to cut next, and why I'm doing it that way. So that would probably be helpful if you're going to do this to your own car. But for now, this is really it. I mean, we're talking big tires to here, frame, another huge tire. It'll be 4-linked. It'll have coilovers. I mean, it's going to be a serious car. It's going to have a roll cage, full front, back, everything. It's not just a roll bar. I'm going full race car with this thing, man, and I'm really pumped on it. I'm really excited about it. I got a ton of new stuff. The plan has changed a ton. The 355 I showed you, yeah, that's not going in here. I have something else for it. That 355 is getting a turbo, and it's going somewhere else. But the new engine I have it's bitching. This whole project's going to be awesome. It's something I've always wanted to do, and I'm glad I'm finally doing it. And I'm going to show you guys all the crazy stuff. All the problems I run into, all the stuff that pisses me off about this, I will show it to you. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of it. Yeah. So that's really it for this episode. Like I said, I'll do another one about like where you should cut, what I did, how I did it, and I mean, I'll even show you how I picked the kit I used, and that's going to be really helpful because a lot of the stuff out there, they're just like buy a back half kit, but I mean, there's so many different widths. A lot of it's universal, and finding out what you need and why you should buy that specific one, I'll do a video that should help out with that. But that's really it for this. I really just wanted to show you where we came from to where we are now and where we're about to go. Yeah, if you want to see more of it, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in like a week or so. Hopefully I got more work done on this thing.